25th of December is Christmas. So today I wanted to talk about gaslighting, narcissism, and why do I want to do that? So I'm a Scorpio Sun, Pisces Moon, and to all those who have Pisces Moon out there, this is to you. I wanted to bring this up because I think it's something that we need to talk about more, especially if you have Pisces Moon. You've got Pisces Moon because you've been neglected and your parents weren't around when you were a kid, so you don't have any boundaries. You have no foundation for anything. That's why you feel too much of everything. Everything's just too much. You feel energies of other people. You just have no boundaries, right? And this is what it is. This is Pisces Moon, and that's why when you absorb other people's emotions, and you don't know if it's you or it's them, you just haven't put up any walls, per se. You know, so as a kid, your parents weren't around, right? And as children, we want to be loved. We want their attention. If we don't get the love that we need, so if we don't get shown secure attachment, and if your parents weren't consistently there for you and were good parents to you and made you feel safe when you were young, it can go either way, right? If your parents weren't there for you, you have two choices, really. Right? You can panic. This is where anxiety builds. You can kind of, the hurricane and the turtle, when we talk about insecure attachment. So the hurricane is brought up in a family where, you know, your mother or your parents did not consistently console you and make you feel safe when you're a kid. So you build a level of anxiety because sometimes they come when you're scared and you freak out and you cry about something. Sometimes they come and sometimes they don't. So you get a bit anxious about whether they're gonna be there for you or not. And what you will do is try to get their attention or be in, you know, close proximity, or try to always know where your mother or father is, or your guardian, your parents are at any given stage. And that kind of, this is very loosely translated, but if that child then grows up and they can be a bit obsessive when they, you know, meet someone or they go into a relationship, they can be considered a little bit crazy. That won't leave you alone. You know, like the stereotypical one. And this is very largely generalized. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you understand that it's because they never received secure attachment, you then understand why they do what they do. Because, you know, when we talk about people who are crazy, like a crazy girlfriend, we just, you know, we don't understand. It's just seen so negatively, right? But when you stop and go, you can't help that because she's getting triggered. So as an adult, if you get into a relationship with anyone close, something that you care about, a friendship, like a very close friend or even family, if you get to that point, there's going to immediately trigger the anxieties that you had as a kid, which were never regulated because you weren't consistently shown what safety is. You didn't know if they were going to come or not. You never learned to deal with that, if that makes sense. So on the opposite of that, you have a turtle where instead of being the crazy stalkerish girlfriend, you could be the turtle, where the turtle kind of retracts. So when she gets hard, it kind of goes away. Doesn't want to deal because they don't know how to deal with those emotions. So they just kind of don't deal. They avoid it, right? So those are the opposite polarizing scenarios. So when we talk about Pisces, and this is the same thing. There's always two sides of a coin, right? It's yin and yang. So we're going to talk about narcissism, and we're going to talk about people pleasing. You could be either one. So really, you know, when I think about Pisces Moon, I think about there's a lot of neglect, but then why does another person who could be abandoned become a narcissist? When they come from kind of similar backgrounds, you know? essentially both of them didn't have the kind of love that they kind of needed as a kid. So when you look at a typical people pleaser, it's when you care about someone, you immediately trigger that anxiety that you had when you didn't know whether your mum's going to come or not. And you kind of act like a child again. You go back to that place in your mind and you can't control what you do because you're a child. You literally have gone back in time in your mind and you're frozen in that state. And it's not like you can think like your adult self, because you can't. You're back to you as a kid again, all over again, because you never learned that regulation. You never regulated it, right? But people don't make that connection. They just go, you're crazy because you're crazy. And they don't really look into it. So with the people pleasing part of it, now, let's call them the empaths, they usually say. Is that not Pisces in general? Right? So when we talk about the empath or the people pleaser, because you crave, or as all children do, or everyone does, that you crave that love. And as a child, you crave it from your parents, right? You want them to kind of accept you because your mind is kind of, blamed yourself for, there was so much neglect. They weren't there for you. And the only reason your mind can think of was that maybe you did something wrong. Maybe it's you. So you kind of want to, when you get a chance to be around them, you want to please them because you want them to accept you. Right? So let's talk about narcissism for a moment. I think these go hand in hand. It's kind of the same thing, just different names for it. Narcissism. So we typically understand a narcissist as someone who, manipulates, gaslights. They act according to their own selfish needs for their own benefit, irrespective of what you may feel, and they don't understand or take in consideration your situation, right? They're just all for personal gain. That's a narcissist, right? So they may put somebody down or say something negative to another person just to elevate who they are and how they feel about themselves. They could talk about themselves, praise themselves, egotistic. They just need that, ego boost. That's one form of narcissist. But essentially, I would kind of summarize it as down to someone that is completely selfish and they can't think of another person before themselves. It's not a bad thing. We hear the word narcissism as such a negative thing, right? We immediately see it as such a malicious act. I understand narcissism. I think I'm narcissistic in a way. My parents are definitely narcissistic. You're never good enough for them. And that makes me who I am today, as someone that, likes to, when you get scared, when you get close to someone and you're in a relationship, you don't want to disappoint them. And I don't think people who, when we hear these stories or hear someone talks about this, I don't think they kind of get the situation of the person that's being gaslit. Because people just expect you to just walk away. It's not like that. It's so hard to walk away. Why is it so hard though? Because you're getting triggered constantly back to when you were a child again. And you could see that narcissist is completely using you, and they could be downright doing something straight in your face or saying something that is completely selfish, but you can't go with it anyway. Why do you go with it anyway? Because you want their acceptance and love so bad, but you know that what they're doing and how they're getting it is not right, but you still do it. And we know this. You absolutely know this. In the moment, you know this. But we can't help it. Because we want that love so bad. Right? It's kind of really sad. Like when you think about it, it is super sad. So, you know, when the narcissist does what they do they feel remorse or any type of emotion towards what they're doing? They probably do, but they probably can't help it either. Just as I can't help, you know, knowingly going back. I don't think they can help them being narcissistic and them doing something selfish, because there's a need. Want something. There's a need that's not being met. And when we have something that we want or need, really need, and we can't get it, we become manipulative. Now, everybody can be manipulative. Some are more outright, more open and obvious about manipulation, others not. I don't think there's, you know, when I hear the word, that's another word that sounds so negative, right? Because, you know, all my life, I didn't think I was I'm manipulative. And then one day, I remember asking my friends, I go, am I manipulative? And they're like, yeah. And I went, what do you mean? Oh my God, what do you mean? They're like, nah, you just know how to say what you need to say to, you know, to get your point across. And I'm like, but you're making it sound so malicious, because that's how I understood manipulation. and they're like, well, I thought about it. I'm like, well, in a way, I am kind of manipulative, because I think I talk differently and use different anagrams and analogies depending on who I'm talking to. And I personally only do that to make it easier for the other person to understand or get on the same page as what I'm trying to explain. Do you know what I mean? Like, I talk in their language. I'm not doing it to, you know, like, purposely with the intention to get something from it, though. You know? And it really confused me when I had this, you know, awareness that I was manipulative. I can't help it. Like, how do I not be manipulative if this is just the way I talk? Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody, it's like, what? See, I used to be in a banker, right? And when you do banking, I've worked in a bank for over like 18, 19 years. And when you work in a bank, they teach you how to sell things. And the way that they teach you is consultative selling, which is pretty much, in a nutshell, you have a conversation with them. You don't talk about any products or what you want to sell yet, but you just try to understand them as a person. And you're going to identify emotional triggers in them. And then using those emotional triggers, you then sell them things that may benefit them, that benefits them. Like, I know insurance, it sounds so bad when I say I'm selling them insurance. But if you look at it in perspective as if this man is the only person that's bringing in money into this household, and he's got kids, a whole family to look after, what's he going to do if he loses his job? And from a bank, like, you can look at this situation, if I sell them like income insurance or something, you could look at it as I'm just selling them something. But if he's going to buy a house and then he loses his job and there's no other income coming in, what the hell is this family going to do if they don't have anyone that's going to help them? It depends what perspective you're going to look at it, right? So if you put it that way, it's something that's going to benefit them. But because I, you know, understand them, and the fact that I understand, you know, their emotional things just by, you know, listening to them, it's manipulation, because I'm using that information and what I know about them to make it easier for them to understand why they need insurance, for example, or why they need a credit card, or why they need another house, or whatever it is. It just sounds is for the bank's gain, right? If I'm doing that. But then if I'm looking at it from the opposite perspective, I'm doing it because there's a reason why I'm doing it. Obviously, there are people out there that sell without a conscience, and they sell it even if someone doesn't need it. That's irresponsible lending. But then the way that I take it, but I question, is it just the way that I spin it though? Is it what I'm telling myself to make it okay? Because, you know, I'm a Pisces Moon. I know how to do that. I do that well. You know what I mean? So, like, when I think about it, working in those roles, I really honestly felt that I was helping people. With whatever I was helping them with, you know, I'm really helping them because I know information. If I give them a scenario, I'm like, yeah, I know it's bad to say, hey, if you lost a job, but it's real. It's reality, right? It can happen. And if I'm going to be a responsible lender, they need to have a think about that, because before they come and sit and talk with me, they didn't even know that that's an issue or a risk to them. As someone that understands that this could be a risk because, you know, I'm lending money, is it not my job to then make them more aware that you need to consider this can happen, you need to protect yourself? But, you know, I could talk to one of my friends and they would look at me and they say that you're a horrible seller. They could never do that, you know. And I'm like, it depends which way you look at it. You know what I mean? And what makes it not manipulation then? Because wherever we go in this world, wherever, you know, when you go to the mechanic to fix your car, you go to them because, you know, they're the specialists at it. You don't know how to do it. You go to someone that knows how to do it. You pay them to do it because they know what to do. They know the information. They know the ins and outs of things, right? So you're going to trust them. That's why you go to them, because you need help with that, right? And that's like any type of business or service in the world. Everything. So everything is, you know, mass manipulation generally in different perspectives. Depends on how you look at it and which way you want to look at it, right? Because there's two sides to everything. Everything. So I went off on a tangent, but going back to narcissism, it's the same thing. Same thing. There could be like evil people out there, but then, yeah, I think they understand, but I think they just can't help it. Whether or not they feel remorse about it, I don't think that's something that we should focus on. You know, like, are you finding a reason why to hate them, like to not like them and not accept it? But they're like, truth be told, if you can't help, you know, feeling for people and being a Pisces Moon where you care and feel of everyone, you know, can you stop that? Can you stop doing that? And can you stop being nice about it? Can you stop, you know, if we flip the world upside down, can you just stop being who you are and not consider other people? Could you? Because, you know, if you are a people pleaser or you're Pisces Moon or whatever it is, this is kind of how it goes. Like, the situation would be that you get into a situation where you know someone is fooling you, or they're saying something that you know is off, is weird, and you know that something is dodgy, right? You know this, and your mind is telling you, hold on, right? Yeah, and there'll be a moment of clarity where you go, no, that's wrong. But then you argue it out, going, oh, maybe that there's this, it couldn't be that. And then there'll be moments where you have so much energy and you know you've had enough and you walk away. But then even when you walk away, you sit there and go, was it something that I did? Is it me? Maybe I was being too harsh. Right?
Why do nice people choose the wrong people to date?
We accept the love we think we deserve.
One day it was raining really bad outside, but it was like really hot weather, so it's humid and raining, right? And I had just got my hair done and I didn't want to go out into the rain. And I asked my mother, can I borrow her car to go to the supermarket? She doesn't want me to borrow her car because she doesn't want it to get wet in the rain. So she would prefer me to go walk in the rain. It's really upsetting, right? And then now, in reflection or retrospect, do you know what I did afterwards? I made contact with a toxic person in my past. Then what did I do that night? I went over and hung out with them. Then what did I do the next day? Absolutely regretted it. And this is exactly what happened. And this is exactly why we kind of get attracted to toxic and narcissistic people, manipulative people, because we grew up with a parent that didn't give us what we wanted, and then we are attracted to anyone that has similar traits as that significant parent, like unconsciously yearning for acceptance from them, because a part of us yearn for acceptance from our parents. And we get attracted to them, and they treat us like crap, just like our parents. The more they treat us like crap, the more we get attracted to them, because that's more of a connection, unconsciously referring to our parents, that we don't realize in the moment. And then before you know it, we get sucked in, and they're treating us like shit. So you get like double treated like shit, and then you just feel crap about yourself. But it's hard to walk away from this, because walking away is hard, because even though you know that it's a logical thing to do and that you should be doing this because nobody deserves to be treated like this, you know what they say is not right, but you can't because your emotions fuel things. You feel that you want to be accepted. You're so emotional about it, and when you're emotional, there's no logic. Logic's out the window somewhere, because you're a child again, an absolute child again, because you want that love from your parents or whoever that you never got. And then you do stupid shit like me and you don't realize it, and then after the fact, and it still kind of bugs me, because I know part of me has emotions that goes, why don't they like me? And then on the other side, I'm like, oh my god, you're so stupid, why would you even put yourself in that situation? Do you know what I mean? And the more you get sucked into words, the more you get into the emotional side of things, and your brain gets clouded and stuff, and you can't see straight anymore, and your logic's a bit skewed now, you know what I mean? I knew that I needed to put up that boundary right away, otherwise I'll get sucked right back in again, and then I'll sell myself a lie, and then I'll be back in the past again, and I'm stuck in a toxic relationship again, right? And this is where I sit there going, isn't it ironic that, it kind of went full circle and it kind of came out like this? And what have you learnt, Thao? I've learnt that you need to be aware, and you can't blame anybody else. You can't blame them. You can blame yourself, because you know about all this shit already. You talked about it in December, but yet you do it anyway. There's a reason why I can talk about the things I talk about, because I understand it completely. I understand what it's like to be in that situation, and here I go. It doesn't mean that I've resolved and I'm a better person. I'll probably still do the same thing, because it's not easy. It's a process, right? What am I doing?
I had lunch with Craig today.
Yeah?
He said he was sorry and that I was right to break up with him. I'm driving away and just feeling so small. Just asking myself, why do I and everyone I love pick people who treat us like we're nothing?
We accept the love we think we deserve. Can we make them know that they deserve more?
We can try.
We accept the love we think we deserve, and that's hard, trying to make us feel that we deserve something else. I don't think it's an easy decision or an easy way to change that. I think it's a process, and it's an ongoing one if you're tired of being treated the way that you're treated. And only you can tell yourself what your limit is. But I do want to say, with words are powerful, and it's kind of a hard thing. If somebody talks a good game, you just can't trust them. Like I said, everybody is partially manipulative, whether it's unconscious or conscious. They're manipulative if they have a need that needs to be met, So keep that in mind when it comes to words. Sometimes you just need to feel it out. Trust your emotions before you trust your thoughts. And as we all know, with anxiety and overthinking, sometimes we can think ourselves can persuade ourselves with our own thoughts away from what we initially felt. So trust your gut feeling with it. It's not wrong. If you had one single moment at the beginning where you reacted a certain way, where you felt concern or doubt, trust that, because that's your initial emotion. After that is you just thinking about it, and whatever your thoughts want to go, it's usually one way or the other. It's not in your best interest, your thoughts. Your thoughts don't do that. They're on survival mode, which it may be irrational, right? So your thoughts will sell you a lie and you will believe it eventually. You know? Words are powerful. So to my fellow Pisces Moon people, or anyone that's in one of these toxic relationships at the moment, I hope I've gotten through to you that it is your decision. You know all this shit already. They don't deserve you. You may not believe me, but you deserve a lot better than this. It doesn't mean that, they're never going to give you the love that you expect from them. They're never going to change. And if you think they are, they probably fed you a lot of lies. And if you're listening to this right now, you probably know that you've sold yourself a lie. So when's it enough? When are you going to walk away? So the last piece of truth that I leave you today is that if you are a Moon in Pisces, or you're an empath, or a people pleaser, someone that's a giver, I do want to say, when you want to go buy a car and you go to a car yard, you say to the car salesman, I want you to sell me the best car for me. And that salesman can't possibly sell you the best car for you because they don't know who you are. They don't know your past, your history, what you've gone through. They don't know you as a person in general to be able to sell you the best car for you. They couldn't possibly deliver on that. However, they will sell you the best car for you that they have in their car yard. And that could be seen as selfish because they should consider other cars out there. Essentially, if you say the best car for you, it might not be in that car yard, right? But no, that car salesman will sell you the best car that they have in that car yard. And this is people. This is people in a nutshell. Everyone is selfish by nature, and that's not necessarily a negative or bad thing. When somebody needs help and we want to help them based on who we are, not based on who they are. We can't possibly help another person because we can't understand another person completely. It's just not possible, but we can understand ourselves, and we are ourselves, right? We can only understand and see through the eyes of self. That's the only truth that we have. So perhaps, Moon and Pisces, maybe we should try that whole selfish thing, because essentially that's the only truth there is. Look, if you're in that situation, I understand. Just stay strong, keep grounded, keep your head in check, okay? Look after yourself.
Ed, we can't choose where we come from, but we can choose where we go from there. I know it's not all the answers, but it was enough to start putting these pieces together. And you helped me. Even if you didn't know what I was talking about, or know someone who's gone through it, you made me not feel alone. I can see it. This one moment when you know you're not a sad story. You are alive. And in this moment, I swear, we are infinite.